Welcome to our channel, where every coin tells a story. Some quarters may look ordinary, but a few are anything but. Hidden among pocket change are Washington quarters that collectors would love to find. These are the most sought-after pieces, the ones that turn small change into serious treasure. The 1971 Washington quarter, a coin so common that most people have probably spent one without ever looking twice. But among the millions of quarters made that year, a few hold a secret that could turn an ordinary piece of change into something truly extraordinary. This coin might look just like every other quarter in your pocket, but its story is far more interesting than it seems. Today, it's one of the most talked about modern rarities in American coin collecting, not because of its design, but because of an unexpected mistake that made a few of them incredibly valuable. The Washington quarter has been part of U.S. coinage since 1932. It was introduced to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth and quickly became a staple of American currency. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin featured a classic portrait of Washington on the front and an eagle on the back, a simple, timeless design that lasted for decades. But while the design stayed the same, the metal inside didn't. Before 1965, quarters were made mostly of silver. After that, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel blend because silver had become too expensive. By 1971, every quarter in regular circulation was supposed to be made with this cheaper, layered metal. But during that year's minting process, something unexpected happened. Somehow, a few leftover silver planchets, blank metal discs from earlier years, were accidentally fed into the presses that were striking the 1971 quarters. The machines didn't notice the difference, and those silver blanks were stamped with the 1971 design. What came out were coins that looked completely normal on the surface but were actually made of 90% silver, something that shouldn't have existed anymore. These accidental silver strikes went out into circulation just like any other quarter. They were spent, saved, and passed around for years before anyone realized what they really were. To the average person, they looked identical to every other coin. But to a trained collector, a few small details could reveal the truth. A normal 1971 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver one weighs slightly more, around 6.25 grams. The color along the edge is another clue. Regular quarters show a copper-colored line when you look at the rim, but a silver one has a clean, bright edge with no copper showing. Even the sound is different. When you gently tap a silver coin, it rings with a higher, clearer tone. Finding one of these rare quarters takes patience, luck, and a sharp eye. Most 1971 quarters are ordinary, but collectors still check every one they come across, hoping for that tiny difference in weight, sound, or color. The excitement of possibly discovering a silver strike hidden among common coins is what keeps the search alive. If someone does find one that seems unusual, the next step is professional authentication. Services like PCGS and NGC test the coin's metal composition and examine it under magnification to confirm it's genuine. Once verified, the coin is given a grade that describes its condition. The fewer the marks or signs of wear, the higher the grade, and the more desirable it becomes to collectors. But this isn't just about condition. It's about rarity. The number of these silver planchet 1971 quarters is believed to be extremely low, possibly fewer than 10 examples in existence. That kind of scarcity is what drives collectors wild. Each coin is a little piece of minting history, an error that wasn't supposed to happen, yet somehow slipped through. Think about it, hundreds of millions of quarters rolled off the presses that year, but only a few were made of silver. Those few were mixed into bags, sent across the country, and used in everyday transactions. For decades, nobody noticed. They could have bought a newspaper, a soda, or a bus ticket, and now, that same coin could be worth a fortune. That's what makes this particular quarter so fascinating. It's not a limited edition release, not a commemorative issue, and not a coin made for collectors. It's an accident, a perfect example of how one small mistake can turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. Coin experts have been aware of these silver 1971 quarters for years, but they remain among the most elusive modern minting errors ever discovered. Each time one surfaces, it causes a stir in the numismatic world. Collectors inspect every detail, studying its color, edge, and strike quality, amazed that a small oversight more than 50 years ago could still have this kind of impact today. And that's what makes collecting coins so special. It's not just about age or beauty, it's about stories like this, stories of chance, error, and discovery. The 1971 Washington quarter reminds us that even in modern times, treasures can appear in the most unexpected places. So, if you ever come across a 1971 quarter, don't dismiss it too quickly. Check the edge, feel the weight, listen to the sound. That small difference might be the clue to something far greater. You never know, the coin sitting in your change jar could be one of those extremely rare silver strikes, a hidden piece of minting history that collectors dream of finding. And as for how much one of these rare 1971 Washington quarters is actually worth, the answer is impressive. When one of these silver planchet errors, authenticated and in pristine condition, finally went up for auction, it shocked even experienced collectors. The final price? $95,000. That's right, a single quarter, made by mistake, now valued at nearly $100,000. It's a powerful reminder that even the smallest details can make a huge difference. Sometimes, the most valuable things are hiding right in plain sight. Next up, we have a coin that often slips under the radar, a quarter that doesn't stand out at first glance but has quietly earned a place among the most valuable modern U.S. coins, the 1987 Washington quarter dollar. For most people, 1987 quarters are nothing special. Millions were produced, they still show up in circulation, and they look just like any other piece of pocket change. But in the world of coin collecting, a few small details can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. And for this particular year and mint mark, one unexpected variation has made all the difference. The P mint mark on this coin tells us it was struck in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Mint is known for its massive production numbers, and also, occasionally, for producing some of the most intriguing minting oddities. While Denver and San Francisco had their own unique runs in the 1980s, the Philadelphia quarters from 1987 came with a few surprises that have fascinated collectors for decades. So, what sets this coin apart? It's not about silver, or any precious metal content. It's about precision, or rather, the lack of it. Some 1987 quarters were struck with a misaligned die, resulting in a subtle but noticeable shift in the design. The image of Washington on the front appears slightly off-center, and in certain examples, parts of the outer lettering are thinner or uneven. These are what collectors call strike anomalies, and depending on their severity, they can drastically increase a coin's rarity and desirability. But that's not the only variation worth talking about. Among the countless 1987 quarters that rolled off the presses, a very small number were struck using dies that had worn down prematurely. This produced coins with unusually soft details, Washington's hairlines, the eagle's feathers, and even the word "Liberty" appear smoother than they should. To an untrained eye, it might just look like a worn-out coin, but specialists know that when this kind of detail loss happens on an uncirculated coin, it points to a genuine minting flaw. And minting flaws like that can be worth serious money, especially when they occur in low numbers and are preserved in exceptional condition. Over time, enthusiasts began noticing that high-grade examples of this coin were unusually hard to find. It wasn't just the occasional striking error, even perfectly centered coins from Philadelphia in 1987 were surprisingly inconsistent in quality. Many had weak strikes, dull finishes, or bag marks from handling at the mint. Finding one with sharp details, strong luster, and no damage became a real challenge, and that scarcity is what eventually pushed prices higher. When you think about it, that's what makes the 1987 piece so fascinating. It's not rare because of a design change or a special edition, it's rare because of quality. Out of millions made, very few left the mint in truly pristine condition. And those that did often ended up in circulation anyway, slowly losing their perfect surfaces over time. That's why collectors today place such high importance on examples that have survived untouched. Coins graded in mint state condition, especially those rated MS 67 or above, are incredibly difficult to locate. Each one that surfaces becomes an event in itself, with serious buyers competing for the opportunity to add it to their collections. The Philadelphia Mint mark also carries historical weight. Unlike the Denver or San Francisco issues, P quarters from the 1980s often tell subtle stories about the Mint's production challenges. Tiny differences in metal flow, die wear, and strike strength create microvariations that specialists spend years studying. To the casual observer, these details are invisible. But to numismatists, they reveal exactly why certain coins, like this 1987 P, stand out so sharply from the rest. There's another factor that makes this coin so sought after, and that's the level of perfection required for top grading. To reach the highest grades, a coin must have a flawless surface, sharp definition, and a clean, original mint luster. Even a single scratch, a light contact mark, or a dull patch from handling can drop it several grades and cut its value dramatically. So, when one of these quarters manages to survive more than 3 decades in virtually untouched condition, it's an impressive find. Collectors often describe the 1987 P as a conditional rarity. That means it's not rare in general, but extremely rare in high grade. In other words, there might be millions of worn-out examples, but only a few pristine survivors that meet the demanding standards of serious collectors. Those are the coins that make headlines when they hit the auction block. And that's exactly what happened with one particular 1987 P quarter. Certified by a top grading service in exceptional condition, it displayed an unusually sharp strike, bright luster, and virtually no imperfections. It was a standout even among other mint state examples. When it finally appeared at a major auction, it sparked intense competition from bidders who understood just how rare that level of preservation really is. So, if you ever come across a 1987 P quarter that looks a little too perfect, with strong detail, smooth fields, and that unmistakable original shine, don't overlook it. Give it a closer look, and if it truly stands out, it might just be worth sending in for grading. And as for the rarest of them all, that top-graded example that captured the attention of collectors everywhere, when the bidding was over, it reached a stunning price. That single 1987 P Washington quarter sold for $70,000. Now let's move on to another remarkable discovery, the 1993 D Washington quarter. At first glance, it seems just like any other modern coin from the early 90s, but a few examples from this year tell a very different story. Hidden among millions of ordinary quarters are some rare minting errors that have turned this common coin into one worth tens of thousands of dollars. The D Mint mark on this coin shows it was struck at the Denver Mint, a facility known for producing huge quantities of circulation coins with an emphasis on speed and volume. But even with the most advanced equipment, the minting process isn't immune to mistakes, and every now and then, one of those mistakes creates something truly exceptional. For the 1993 D quarter, that exception came in the form of a striking error that's both visually interesting and incredibly scarce. In some rare cases, coins from this year were struck on planchets meant for other denominations, for example, the blanks used for nickels or even foreign coins produced at the Denver Mint around that time. When this happens, the size, weight, or color of the coin ends up slightly different from what you'd expect, but the design is still unmistakably a quarter. These wrong planchet errors are highly sought after because they represent a clear minting slip that's easy to identify and almost impossible to duplicate. There are also examples of 1993 D quarters showing double strikes, coins that were hit twice by the press instead of once. This kind of error leaves a visible shadow or doubling in parts of the design, such as Washington's profile or the lettering along the rim. Each one is unique, depending on how the coin shifted between strikes. To collectors, those doubled images tell a story about what happened inside the minting press at the moment of creation. Unlike ordinary circulation coins, which can be produced by the hundreds of millions, error coins exist only in tiny numbers. Most are caught during quality control and melted down immediately, but a few slip through unnoticed. Once they're released into circulation, it can take years, sometimes decades, before anyone realizes what they are. That's exactly what happened with some of the 1993 D era quarters. They entered the economy quietly, mixed in with all the others, and only later did sharp-eyed collectors recognize something was off. What makes the 1993 D-era coin especially interesting is how subtle the differences can be. Some have slightly different coloration or edges that appear smoother or uneven. Others may have weak details on one side but a strong, clear strike on the other, a sign that the coin wasn't centered perfectly when pressed. These imperfections might sound minor, but in numismatics, they're what turn a regular coin into a prized collectible. Collectors love coins that tell a story, and the 1993 D-era quarter does exactly that. It's a snapshot of a moment when precision faltered, creating a tiny anomaly that went unnoticed for years. Every error is a reminder that even the most exact machines can make human-like mistakes, leaving behind clues for collectors to uncover decades later. As with any rare coin, condition matters just as much as the error itself. A coin that's been heavily used will always be worth less than one that's been preserved in near-perfect shape. For these 1993 D-era quarters, examples that remain bright, sharp, and free of scratches are incredibly hard to find. Most were spent, dropped, or stored loosely in jars for years before anyone thought to check them carefully. So, when a pristine example surfaces, it draws major attention. Professional grading services play a key role here. They authenticate the error, determine exactly what kind it is, and assign a grade based on how well the coin has been preserved. A verified 1993 D-era quarter with a clear striking mistake and a high grade instantly becomes a highlight in any collection. And because so few exist, each one that comes to market is hotly contested by serious buyers. The 1990s might not seem that long ago, but coins from that era are starting to gain recognition among collectors who appreciate modern minting quirks. The Denver Mint, in particular, was producing both domestic and international coins at the time, increasing the chances of mixed planchets and unusual die pairings. That's part of what makes this 1993 D story so believable. The conditions were perfect for an occasional mix-up. Some of these coins have slightly off metal compositions, giving them a lighter tone or duller sound when tapped. Others display partial reading on the edge or small areas where the design didn't strike fully, all subtle signs that something went differently in the minting process. When one of these surfaces in high grade, it's not just an error coin, it's a mint-made rarity that reflects a one-in-a-million moment. Collectors who specialize in error coins often describe the thrill of discovery as the best part of the hobby. It's the idea that even decades after production, new finds can still emerge from old coin rolls, estate collections, or even pocket change. The 1993 D quarter fits that dream perfectly, ordinary enough to go unnoticed for years, yet distinctive enough to become a showpiece once identified. If you ever come across a 1993 D quarter that looks unusual, maybe it's lighter, off-centered, or shows doubling in the design, don't dismiss it. Weigh it carefully, study the edges, and look for signs of an original minting flaw. And if it seems promising, get it checked by professionals. You might be holding something far more valuable than it appears. The bidding was fierce, and when the final hammer fell, the result was unforgettable. That single 1993 D-era quarter sold for $66,000. A simple minting mistake turned a 25-cent coin into a small fortune, and another reminder that even in the most ordinary pockets, extraordinary treasures can still be found. Up next, let's talk about one of the newest and most talked about modern quarters, the 2023 Bessie Coleman quarter. At first glance, it looks like a simple, freshly minted coin from recent years, but what makes this one stand out isn't just the design, it's the rare and fascinating errors that have turned some of these pieces into hidden treasures. The Bessie Coleman Quarter is part of the U.S. Mint's American Women Quarters program, a series that celebrates trailblazing women who shaped history. Bessie Coleman was the first African-American woman and the first Native American to earn a pilot's license, a symbol of determination and courage during a time when opportunities for women and people of color were severely limited. Her inclusion in this coin series gave collectors and history lovers something truly special, a tribute that carried both meaning and beauty. Now, while the coin itself is widely available, a few rare versions have caught collectors' attention for something completely unexpected: minting errors. These mistakes happen during production and can take many forms: off-center strikes, die cracks, missing details, or even doubling in the design. Each error tells its own story, and some are so subtle you might miss them if you don't look closely. Collectors began noticing that some 2023 Bessie Coleman quarters showed unusual markings around the edges, incomplete features in Bessie's portrait, or doubling in the text and dates. Others had die chips, small raised bumps caused by breaks in the minting die, often appearing near the nose, hat, or lettering. These imperfections might seem minor, but in the coin world, they're what transform a regular issue into something special. Since these coins are still new, many are still sitting unnoticed in pocket change, coin rolls, or cash registers. That's what makes the hunt so exciting. You don't have to look back decades, these valuable finds are circulating right now. All it takes is a little attention and curiosity. The design itself is striking. On the front, we still see George Washington's portrait, updated with the modern profile used throughout the American Women Quarter series. The reverse shows Bessie Coleman in her flight gear, gazing upward with confidence, alongside the inscription, First African American and First Native American Woman Pilot. It's a bold, meaningful design that celebrates not only her accomplishments but also her role as a pioneer who opened doors for others. But for collectors, the design is just the beginning. The real fascination lies in the small details that set certain coins apart. Maybe the rim isn't perfectly formed, or a letter appears slightly doubled. Maybe there's an odd raised spot that shouldn't be there, or a faint crack running through part of the image. These are the tiny, one-in-a-million quirks that give an ordinary quarter its uniqueness and potential value. Because the 2023 Bessie Coleman quarter is still so new, experts are still discovering variations. Every few months, reports of new types of errors surface from collectors who spot something unusual. Some of these errors are already being documented and certified, while others remain under study. It's a reminder that even in the age of advanced minting technology, imperfections can still happen, and when they do, they capture the attention of the entire numismatic community. Another reason this coin has become so interesting is how quickly its popularity has grown. Modern-era coins used to take years to gain recognition, but thanks to social media and online coin forums, discoveries now spread almost instantly. Videos and posts showing odd-looking Bessie Coleman quarters have sparked nationwide searches, with people everywhere checking their change in hopes of finding one of these rare pieces. And while not every 2023 quarter with a blemish will be valuable, the verified mint errors are absolutely worth keeping an eye out for. A clean, well-struck coin without circulation marks will always be more desirable than one that's been heavily used. Combine that condition with a legitimate minting flaw, and you've got a coin that collectors will eagerly chase. It's also worth remembering that early discoveries often become the most valuable in the long run. When a new error coin first appears, only a handful are known, making them extremely desirable. Over time, more examples might surface, or maybe not. Sometimes, the original few remain the only known pieces, solidifying their place as modern rarities. That could very well be the case with certain 2023 Bessie Coleman errors. So if you happen to come across one of these quarters, don't rush to spend it. Take a close look under good light, use a magnifier if you have one, and check both sides carefully. Look for signs of doubling, missing details, or unusual raised spots. Compare it to another 2023 quarter, even a small difference can be significant. The beauty of collecting modern coins is that discoveries can happen anywhere. You don't have to be an expert or a long-time collector, sometimes it's just about curiosity and patience. And with the 2023 Bessie Coleman quarter, the possibilities are wide open. It's more than just a coin, it's a piece of history that honors a true pioneer while offering a real chance for discovery. And with so many small variations already reported, it's safe to say this is one quarter that could be worth far more than 25 cents. So check your change carefully, because this 2023 Bessie Coleman quarter, with the right combination of rarity, error, and pristine condition, could be one of those valuable finds you'll never forget. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed learning about these rare and valuable quarters, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing coin stories. You never know which coin in your pocket might be worth a fortune.